Times dated June 21st, 1993. Gabriel's eye is immediately drawn to an article about the voodoo murders. He scans it quickly.
I don't believe this. They've closed the case.
What case?
The voodoo murders case. The paper says that the police have learned that the murders were a result of an underworld cartel war, and that the war is over.
That's not good?
It's ridiculous. And what about the killers? And the voodoo angle, they never got anything on that.
I know you were into it, Gabriel, but if it's over, that's hardly a negative. Anyway, if you're that upset, why don't you talk it over with your pal Mosley?
You don't get it, Grace. Just forget it, okay?
Gabriel decides to check his horoscope, despite his disgust. Death walks close to you today. Resist temptation lest his eye fall on you, too.
Peachy.
Gabriel also spots an ad for Sam Springleton, a jeweler. Sam hangs out at the Napoleon House.
Got a minute, Grace?
What's up?
Does the name Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
Ugh, no. Makes my skin crawl, though.
Have you ever heard of Damballa?
No, sorry.
Do you know anything about Veves?
Not a clue. Sorry.
Ritual patterns used in voodoo.
Fascinating. I can't help you out, though.
Do you know anything about a secret voodoo houndfall?
In New Orleans?
I think so.
No, I don't, but it sounds dangerous. You're not gonna try to find this voodoo group yourself, are you?
Would I do that? Do you know anything about black voodoo?
Black voodoo? Ugh, now what are you getting yourself into?
Nothing you need to know about, do you?
I know there are dark forms of any major religion. Where there's a yin, there's a yang.
Speaking of yin and yang...
But no, I don't know anything really about voodoo, dark or otherwise, sorry.
Are you sure you don't know anything about black voodoo?
You are desperate. I told you I can't help you.
Do you have messages for me?
Your grandmother called. She said to remind you to stop by and go through your father's things.
Okay. Do you have messages for me?
That man from Germany called again, Wolfgang Ritter. Now he's claiming to be a relative of yours.
Interesting. Can I get that phone number for Wolfgang Ritter?
Sure, I'll give it to you when we're done talking.
Do you have messages for me?
I've given everything to you. Here's that phone number.
Thanks.
The newspaper clipping describes a ritualistic murder in Congo Square. It includes a rough sketch of a pattern found around the body. The sketch is very similar to the reconstructed Veve. Gabriel watches the man watching the shop.
Get the hell out of here.
The figure outside does not respond.
I've got some things I need to do.
Good luck.
Can I bother you again, officer?
What is it this time?
Do you know anything about a secret voodoo houndfall?
Hound... what?
Houndfall. It's a temple.
Sounds like somebody's pulling your leg on that one.
Do you know anything about a secret voodoo houndfall?
I told you, you're barking up the wrong tree.
Do you know anything about black voodoo?
Black? Voodoo? Isn't that kind of the same thing?
Actually, no.
Well, all I know about voodoo is to keep away from it, and you should too, Knight.
What do you know about black voodoo?
You keep wanting me to know about this voodoo stuff, don't you? What, do I look like someone who dance around in a loincloth to you?
Knight, hate to tell you this, but you're out of a book. The voodoo murders case has been closed.
I had a feeling you were gonna say that. Son of a bitch. I have to tell you, bud, I'm pretty pissed off about this case being closed. You guys are making a big mistake.
Hey, I'm not any happier about it than you are, Knight, but I've got my orders.
Do you know anything about veves?
What?
Veves. They're ritualistic patterns used in voodoo. You know, like those marks we found around the body.
You know what the department says about that, Knight? That voodoo stuff is faked.
Yeah, well, they're wrong. These veves...
Look, just stop worrying about those marks. I don't think they're relevant.
What do you know about black voodoo?
Black voodoo? Sounds like a put-on to me.
Have you ever heard of Damballa?
You mean gumbo?
No, I mean Damballa.
Never heard of it.
Can you tell me anything about a secret voodoo houndfall?
Oh, come on. Somebody's pulling your leg, Knight.
Are you sure?
Ain't nothing secret about voodoo in New Orleans. There's a museum, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, but that's the stuff they want you to see.
You're getting mighty paranoid, Knight.
Can you tell me anything about a secret voodoo houndfall?
I told you, you're nuts. Drop it.
Does the name Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
Say what?
Ogun Badagri. It's a voodoo loa.
Speak English or shut up, Knight.
Sorry, didn't mean to confuse you. Guess I'll take that as a no. Tell me about yourself.
What do you want to talk about that for now? We're not doing the book anymore. Besides, you already know too much about me, Knight.
What's the status on the voodoo murders case?
The case? What case? I told you, the voodoo murders case is closed.
How can you just close it? It's not solved, is it?
Oh, it's solved. Turns out the Chicago Mafia was trying to invade local territory. Use the Mississippi for drug running now that Florida's so hot. What we had here was a little resistance from the local businessmen. Word came in this morning that the Chicago group is giving up and pulling out of Nolans.
But that doesn't bring the killers to justice.
Well, the boys upstairs seem to figure it this way. Let the slime kill each other. Better the vermin we know than Chicago vermin, I guess. The attitude in the department is that we just been done a huge favor, and they're probably right.
What about the local cartel? Are you just gonna let them go?
At least they're part of us. We'll deal with them over time. Always have. Nolans is pretty clean that way, you know?
Well, that's the illusion, isn't it?
Look, I'm not totally in agreement here either. But what can I do? These guys are not about to get caught. I'm disappointed about the book too. Look, next big murder case I get, I'll call you in, and we'll do that one up right, okay? In fact, I could probably dig up some old cases and you could spice them up.
No thanks. How can I convince you to reopen the case?
Look, the department's not interested.
So, couldn't you make them interested?
With what? I got 7 bodies and still no leads. The voodoo angle's worthless, and besides, these people aren't hurting anybody but out-of-town drug dealers and hitmen.
The voodoo stuff is not worthless. It's the key to the whole thing. And these people are dangerous. They need to be stopped.
Okay, you want me to reopen this case? Prove what you just said.
What do you mean?
You need to prove that there's a legitimate voodoo cult in New Orleans. Prove that they're a threat. Get me a lead on the cult.
I'm gonna hit the road.
Ciao, baby.
Gabriel, I'm so glad you stopped by.
Oh, sorry it's been a while, Grandma.
Not at all. Give me a kiss.
Now come on, sit down. Tell me how you're doing.
On the wall are portraits of Gran and Granddad when they were young. Gabriel's inherited some good-looking genes. Gran's knitting. She whips through that stuff like there was no tomorrow. Gran has a way with plants and kids. Grandmother Knight rarely uses the fireplace these days. Too much of a hassle to clean. Granny likes soft lighting. Fresh carnations, Granny's favorite. That clock has been in the Wright family, Granny's family, for centuries.
That's my Gran. Adorable as always.
You're such a tease.
How have you been, Gran?
Just fine, dear. I'm sorry I bothered you at work, but, I was hoping you'd get a chance to go through your father's things in the attic.
Don't be silly. You can call me anytime. What can you tell me about voodoo?
Voodoo? What an odd question, Gabriel. Of course, you always were interested in monster movies and all that other weird stuff. You get that from your father and Granddad. I don't know anything about it, dear. Of course, it was very big in New Orleans at one time, but you don't hear so much about it these days. Too much else in the world to worry about, I guess.
What can you tell me about the voodoo murders?
Oh, Gabriel, nothing. And I don't want to. I sometimes wonder what this world is coming to.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
New Orleans is very southern, of course, though not as much as it used to be when I was a girl. It's gotten much more influenced by the East Coast and that California stuff. Still, it hasn't changed as much as other places, I reckon. We've always been happy here.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
My goodness, boy, you lived here all your life, just like me. I can't tell you much that you don't already know.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
St. John's Eve? I remember when I was a girl, we always had a St. John's Eve Mass. The Mass was said at midnight, and we held candles. One time, on the way home, we were waylaid by a large group of drunken revelers. They didn't hurt us, but oh, I was frightened. My father was furious. We never went to St. John's Eve Mass after that.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
I haven't celebrated it in years, Gabriel. I'm sure there's still Mass in the more traditional churches, but I don't go.
Have you ever heard of Marie Laveau?
Marie Laveau. Oh, of course. She was that voodoo woman, wasn't she? She preyed on people's fears and superstitions, is what I think. There are always those willing to take other people's money for nothing. You stay away from people like that, Gabriel.
Yes, Gran. Do you know anything about snakes?
Snakes? What kind of snakes, dear?
I don't know, local kinds.
Well, we used to get cottonmouths in the park when I was a girl, but I haven't heard of one being sighted for years. Milk snakes and garter snakes are also around these parts, but they can't hurt you.
Thanks, Gran. Do you know anything about animal masks?
Why, no, dear. Do you mean Mardi Gras masks?
Never mind, Gran. Can you tell me anything about a secret voodoo hound fall?
Gabriel, my goodness. What are you up to these days?
Oh, nothing, Gran, really.
You'd better not be. You know you're the only family I have left.
I know, Gran. It's okay. Do you know anything about black voodoo?
I don't know much about any kind of voodoo, Gabriel.
Does the phrase Cabri Sanko mean anything to you?
Something without something, I think. Oh, my French is so rusty, I swear my mind is going.
No, it's okay. Thanks. Does the name Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
What, dear?
Never mind. Have you ever heard of Dambala?
What, dear?
Never mind. You know, you get prettier every time I see you.
Oh, you.
Have you baked any of your incredible molasses pies lately?
No, dear. But you let me know when you want some and I'll whip up a half a dozen.
You've lost weight. Are you courting a new man?
Oh, Gabriel, don't be silly. You know there'll never be anyone but your granddad for me.
Your hair looks very pretty today, Gran.
Well, thank you, dear. So does... Well, you've always had such nice, thick hair, Gabriel.
You know, I always tell people that my Gran is the prettiest grand old belle in the city.
Oh, dear. You shouldn't talk so.
Tell me about yourself.
Me? Surely you have something more interesting to talk about.
No, come on, Gran.
Oh, all right, dear. What do you want to hear?
What do you do all day?
You know how I love to knit and work in my garden. I also take long walks. It's the only way to keep an old body like mine from stiffening up.
You're not old.
Oh, don't be foolish. I'm older than the hills.
Tell me about before you met Granddaddy.
Well, you know I was born Rebecca Wright. My daddy owned a lot of land outside of town. We grew peas and corn and cotton, all kinds of things. It was a good childhood, but my father was very strict. He didn't much let me out of his sight.
Tell me how you met Granddaddy.
Oh, I met Harrison at a church revival. There was a traveling preacher back then, a big fella named Reverend Jim. I even remember his slogan, "Come to me to find your way." Your granddad was sitting right behind me and my girlfriend, Alma. And at one point, old Reverend Jim was flinging his hair around with his fine brimstone annex. And a piece of it, one of those small add-on do's for men, went flying off. I swear, Harrison and I were the only ones that noticed. We both started laughing to beat the band. Everyone looked at us like we were a couple of loonies. Oh, it was then I knew that he was for me.
How you feeling these days?
Fit as a fiddle, and don't you worry your head about it.
Just tell me anything at all.
I had your father when I was 22. The doctors told me I couldn't have any more after him, so I'm afraid I spoiled him rotten.
Just tell me anything at all.
I hate to admit it, but I was a jealous little thing when your granddaddy and I were younger. I loved him so ferociously, and he did attract the eyes of the ladies whether he wanted to or not.
Just tell me anything at all.
I get lonely sometimes, but I have lots of girlfriends in the neighborhood. I call one of them if I'm feeling blue.
Just tell me anything at all.
I wish you'd settle down and give me a great-grandchild.
Oh, grand. Just tell me anything at all.
I never loved any man but your grandfather. And I never will.
Oh, nothing. Never mind.
All right, dear.
Tell me about our family.
Who would you like to hear about? Your granddad, your father, or your mother?
Tell me about my mother.
Your mother was Margaret Templeton when your father met her. She came from a very wealthy Creole family in New Orleans. She was beautiful and reckless. She was madly in love with your father, of course, but I also think she liked to find her family.
Tell me about my mother.
Your mother's family refused to give her money after the marriage. All she had left was a modest trust fund from her great-aunt, who happened to like Philip. The remainder of your mother's trust fund became yours when she died. That's what you used to open your bookshop.
Tell me about my mother.
The Templetons are all gone now. Every last one of them. Oh, they never wanted anything to do with us, of course. What a waste.
Tell me about my father.
Your father was my only child. How we adored him.
Tell me about my father.
Philip suffered from terrible nightmares, just like your granddad did. Oh, they were two peas in a pod.
Tell me about my father.
When Philip met your mother, oh, it was love at first sight. They were married 2 weeks later. Never looked at a girl seriously until then, and he looked at plenty. You have your father's way with women, Gabriel. And your granddad's.
Tell me about my father.
I wanted to just lay down and die when he and your mother were killed in that car crash when you were only 8. It was the thought of taking care of you that kept me going, Gabriel. The police say your father swerved off the road after being frightened by something. Perhaps a deer in the road, or wildcat.
Tell me about my father.
Your granddad wanted Philip to have a normal life. He was obsessed by that thought. He pushed Philip to go to law school, but Philip was driven to art. He painted almost in a daze. He would get so inside himself when he worked.
Tell me about my father.
He always hated that it was Margaret's money that supported the 3 of you when his painting couldn't. I kept telling him, try something more cheerful, like a landscape or two, but he couldn't do it. His work was just too dark and disturbing for the public, you know.
Tell me something about Granddad.
Your granddad immigrated to America when he was 21. He walked his way through school, met and married me, and we had your father, Philip. Since you're so interested in family history these days, why don't you go by St. Louis Cemetery number 1 and visit the family tomb? It would be such a sweet gesture.
It's just past the Ross tomb, right? Oh, maybe I will. Tell me something about Granddad.
Your granddad supported me and your father with bookkeeping. Oh, I tell you what, though, he hated every minute of it. Didn't really like bookkeeping one bit. Maybe that was why he had the worst luck with jobs. Oh, the nights he'd come home afraid to tell me he lost another. And I'd tell him it didn't matter to me, but he felt ashamed, Gabriel.
Tell me something about Granddad.
Harrison was only 36 when he died. Your father was 8 years old at the time. Your granddad was hit by a streetcar in the business district. It took me nearly a year to believe he was really gone.
I'm sorry, Gran.
Oh, I know you are, dear.
Tell me something about Granddad.
Did you know that your granddad was a poet? He was. He wrote the most beautiful poetry for me when we were courting. I always thought he should have done something with that gift, but he was such a practical man. Didn't believe in chasing after dreams.
What's new, Gran?
I've been working on baby sweaters for the church bazaar. Keeps me busy.
Done anything interesting lately?
I raised you.
Lately, Gran.
Oh, you know me, Gabriel. I always got my nose poked in something.
It must run in the family. You're looking well, Gran.
Oh, thanks, dear.
Is there anything you need?
Me? No, I'm just fine, Gabriel. I have more than enough of everything.
Nice weather.
Oh, Gabriel, please. It's been just awful. Muggiest summer of my life.
Are you okay, Gran?
I'm right as rain, boy.
Oh, nothing. Never mind.
All right, dear.
I'm gonna go up to the attic, Gran.
Be careful of the dust.
These old picture frames have been up here for years. It's an old, dusty bicycle tire. A skylight lets welcome sunlight into the attic. It's an old dress dummy that Gran had in her sewing room years ago.
My first impression of the female form.
That box of knickknacks has been up here for at least 5 years. The sheet-covered upholstered rocker used to be in Gabriel's nursery. An elaborate mechanical clock, probably of German origin, is among the discarded treasures of the attic.
I think I'll leave that up here.
The brass bed frame is from God knows where. It's a lady's hat from the 1920s.
And from Grand's Virginia Woolf period. I think I'll leave that up here.
The old trunk looks like it's gone to hell and back.
It looks pretty heavy. There's a lot of Granddad's old stuff in here. Might be something interesting.
A bundle of letters. Love letters between Harrison and Rebecca. More of Harrison Knight's German books.
Just what I need. What's this? It's some sort of key.
Some old clothes, including a pair of leather shorts.
Aren't those called lederhosen?
There's an interesting design in the base of the clock. The face of the clock is hand-painted. A ring of 6 symbols surrounds the face of the clock. A sword, a sun, an angel, a noose, an eclipse, and a dragon. The ring of symbols doesn't appear to have any mechanical function, but it does move. A keyhole sits empty on the side of the clock. Nothing happens.
It's Granddaddy's old golf bag. Well, Gran, I'd better get going.
Take it easy on those women out there, will you, Gabe?
Women? You're my only girl, Gran.
Hey, kids!
Bruno, how nice.
Gee, a customer.
Of yours? Hardly.
How's the flower business?
Well, better than the used book business, I see.
Rare books.
That explains why I so rarely see anyone in here. Are you gonna sell me that wonderful painting of yours today?
How much would you give me for it?
Oh, you're serious? You'll let me have it?
Gabriel, don't you dare sell your father's painting.
Yeah, I'll let you have it all right. How much for the painting?
Well, I could give you 100. That's all I can let go at the moment, you know. My affairs are so tied up.
Gabriel, $100 for your father's painting?
Stay out of this, Grace. Fine. It's yours.
Gabriel!
Here's the 100.
You better take good care of this, Bruno. This is not just another of your hip art pieces, you know.
Really? Well, I fully intend to make the most of its display. Though not for your sake, I'm sure. At least in my shop, there'll be a chance of someone actually seeing it. I can't believe I actually got it. Just wait until I show Sid.
I don't believe you.
It's just a painting, Grace. There are things I have to do. Drei Drachen kriegen in meinen Schlaf, die Seele wühlen sie lebendig zum Fraß. Feurigen Atems, gespaltener Zunge, genießen sie jedes Mal.
Gabriel leafs through a German-English dictionary.
Spiel means game. Interesting.
Gabriel leafs through a German-English dictionary.
Mittag means midday, noon.
Gabriel leafs through a German-English dictionary.
Himmel means heaven. Huh. I'll be back later.
Have fun.
Gabriel, come in.
Hi, Gran. I'm gonna go up to the attic again.
Enjoy yourself, dear.
The key winds the clock's mechanism.
Granddaddy, you old fox.
A secret drawer has opened in the base of the clock. The letter is written in German, but Gabriel determines what he can about it. It was sent from a place called Schloss Ritter in Rittersburg, West Germany. The letter is addressed to mein Sohn Heinz and signed Wilhelm Ritter. One of the reoccurring words strewn throughout the letter is the word Schattenjäger. The only other thing that Gabriel can decipher about the letter is a sense of urgency in the handwriting and in the heavy use of a quill tip, bold strokes and underlining. The letter is written in German, but it was sent from the letter, one of the reoccurring. The only other. The letter is, it was the letter, one of the. The back of the photo has the following written on it. Schloss Ritter, 1925. The old photograph shows Gabriel's grandfather with two other men that Gabriel has not identified.
Can we talk, Gran?
Of course, my boy. How can I help?
Do you know anyone named Heinz Ritter?
Hans Ritter. Oh, Gabriel. Where did you hear that name?
I found a letter in Granddaddy's clock.
Oh, I promised I'd never tell you or your father, but I suppose it doesn't matter now.
Tell me, Gran.
Your granddad's name was Hans Ritter before he came to America. He changed it to Harrison Knight legally when he arrived.
Why did Granddad change his name?
I don't know. I tried to ask him about his family and his life before America, but he didn't want to talk about it. He never even told me about his name change. I found out one day when I saw his passport in a drawer. Since he obviously found it painful, I never questioned him about it. But I'm sure it wasn't trouble with the law. Your granddad was the best man I ever knew.
Didn't Granddad ever say anything about his past or his family?
Only that his family was crazy and that he never wanted to see them again. He believed in some family curse. Thought that he could spare Philip and Philip's children from what he called old nightmares. Whatever Harrison wanted to spare you, though. Oh, it cost him plenty. He never did sleep well, and he would often get a far-away, guilty look in his eyes. He was wrestling with something he thought he should be doing, someplace he thought he ought to be. I don't know how he could think that he should be anywhere but with me and our child. It's a terrible way to live.
Do you know anyone named Wolfgang Ritter?
Wolfgang Ritter? Oh, no, dear.
Huh. Odd.
As I said, your granddad's surname was originally Ritter.
Have you ever heard of a Schottenjäger?
Schottenjäger? Schottenjäger. Oh, how odd, Gabriel. I haven't heard that word in years. My goodness, you've given me a chill. Your granddad used to say that sometimes in his sleep.
Really? Do you know what it means?
No, I'm afraid not. I asked him about it once. I don't think he answered me. Odd.
Huh. Thanks, Gran. Oh, nothing. Never mind.
All right, dear.
Well, Gran, I'd better get going.
Take it easy on those women out there, will you, Gabe?
Women? You're my only girl, Gran.